Good afternoon. My name is Lincoln Lee, Deputy Secretary General Internal, and I am glad to welcome you to the closing ceremony of our 17th iteration. Since its founding, CAHSMUN has been at the forefront of Model UN, striving to perfect a platform for students to learn today and lead tomorrow. While this year's event was certainly different, we hope that the core of our mission was delivered nonetheless. Before all else, I'd like to thank you all, on behalf of the CAHSMUN team, for pouring heart and soul into today's conference. Each year, CAHSMUN's mission to build future leaders is prepared by us, but ultimately propelled by you. Whether you are at the front of debate or silently supported others, thank you for your contribution to the event. Now, if there's one bit of advice I could give to newcomers as a graduating senior, it would be to pursue your extracurricular interests to their fullest extent. After 4 years in Model UN, I now truly understand what those before me meant when they said that Model UN was life-changing. For me, my extracurriculars such as MUN were the critical gateways to my proudest achievements and closest friends, and I could not be happier that I spent 4 years with this community. While through a single conference, the merits of extracurriculars may be hard to see. Take it from me that the friends and skills you learn from prolonged involvement will pay significant dividends for a long time. Now, please welcome Peter Zhang, our Chief of Staff, to deliver his remarks.
Thank you, Lincoln. My name is Peter Zhang, and I have been so privileged this year to have served as the Chief of Staff for CAHSMUN 2021. It has been quite the ride since I first met each of our staff members during virtual interviews in June, and I think, as it has been for a majority of this year, there were many firsts for me. There was the first time the directors gathered together on one Zoom call, and I assigned them what would be a months-long task of writing and editing background guides. There was the first full staff training session, and I remember I quipped that normally they would all be gathered together in a room in the Henry Angus building at UBC, sitting pretty much shoulder to shoulder. Instead, there they all were, clustered on my computer screen, sitting rectangle to rectangle. But I think this year of firsts gave our staff team a tabula rasa, a blank slate, and with it, they took their committees to new heights. They were able to bring CAHSMUN to life and imbue the passion that makes MUN, MUN, no matter the venue, no matter the physical distance. So thank you, staff. This final year of high school MUN for me has been more fulfilling than ever because I have had the honor of working with 58 amazing people who showed me dedication, love for this activity, and a remarkable ability to stay positive. But aside from all these staff, I also want to thank my fellow Secretariat members. We have had a lot of ups and downs this year, but there isn't anyone else I'd rather weather the storm with. There are two people whom I have to mention by name here, Betty and Jeremy. Now, I only met Jer and Bet last year, but I like to think that we became fast friends, and you would not believe the dedication and positivity that they brought. I honestly could not have imagined a better, more supportive substantive team to work with, and I would have been totally lost without these two. So Betty, Jeremy, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And now onto the substantive side of things. This year, CAHSMUN hosted 18 committees, ranging from general assemblies and regional bodies to specialized agencies and crisis committees. Each committee was guided in their discussions by dedicated staff members from across British Columbia and Washington State. All of these committees had their successes and challenges and emerged with comprehensive, well-debated resolutions. I will now hand it off to Betty to introduce each of the General Assemblies and regional bodies.
Thank you, Peter. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Betty Pan, and I've had the pleasure of serving as the Undersecretary General of General Assemblies for the 17th iteration of CAHSMUN. This year, the substantive team was proud to present a new committees program with a greater emphasis on diversity and inclusion. We hope that you, delegates, were provided with a broader world perspective with your committees and topics. Whether it be discussing the criminal justice system in the Indigenous Advisory Committee or researching infrastructure development of Black communities in the U.S. Senate, My greatest hope is that you walk away from this weekend with a deeper understanding of the world around us. To the directors and our staff team, thank you for your hard work and dedication. I'll never forget those late-night emails and panic texts when you've realized you've missed a deadline, or those 2 a.m. notifications I receive when you're working hard on your backgrounders. You are by far some of the most knowledgeable, diligent, and brightest people I've met, and I am so incredibly grateful for your efforts that ultimately allowed this weekend to succeed. And to my substantive team, Peter, thank you for your endless patience when Jeremy and I questioned your movie choices, and for your diligence and support with every backgrounder. And Jeremy, my partner in crime, thank you for your tolerance and kindness when I had no idea who King Julian was and instead mistakenly called him Lester the Lemur. Peter and Jeremy, I hope we can one day take a trip to Banana-Gladesh together. And to my Secretariat team, I truly love and admire you all. And thank you for allowing me to be part of this wonderful, crazy CAS family. Without further ado, I'd now like to call up the regional bodies and general assemblies to announce their awards. Delegates, please be reminded that awards are in no way an indication of your true ability in Model UN. Regardless of whether or not you receive an award today, please know that all of your contributions have been highly valued and appreciated this weekend, and I sincerely hope you continue your Model UN journey. I would now like to call up the dais of the Disarmament and International Security Committee.
Good afternoon. My name is Madeline Kim, and I have had the privilege of serving as the Director of DISEC this past weekend at CAHSMUN 2021. CAHSMUN holds a very special place in my heart. CAHSMUN 2019 was the very first conference I attended as a shy delegate in WHO. Despite the unusual circumstances under which this conference has taken place, I can proudly say that I could have never asked for a better directing experience at the conference where it all started. Angel, my chair and my favorite DG, thank you for your energy and positivity. Whether it was sending smileys and hearts to delegates, or starting an intense debate during break about string cheese, your infectious smile and laugh made you the glue of both this team and committee. Christopher, or Chris Dog, my AD, thank you for covering all the blind spots I'm sure would have otherwise been overlooked. Your chairman navigation skills and ROP knowledge made you the rock of this team. Not to mention, everyone loved the trauma-inducing piano your sister was playing in the background. Most importantly, thank you to the delegates of DISAC for your unbridled passion and spirit. From DIAS's inability to discern cooperation from corporation and the subsequent clowning, to Trisha Payta's slander and zesty papers, you certainly made my weekend anything other than boring. Now, while I believe you've all jumped leaps and bounds in your abilities as delegates this weekend, the DIAS would like to acknowledge a few select individuals. The award for Best Research Delegate goes to Iraq. The honorable mentions go to Iran and New Zealand. The award for Outstanding Delegate goes to Russia. And the award for Best Delegate goes to South Korea. Thank you.
I would now like to call up the dais of the Social, Cultural, and Humanitarian Committee.
How do I even begin to describe the adorable committee that was SOCHM? The delegates of SOCHM were focused and passionate about our topics, so much so that 19 operative clauses simply weren't enough to express their ideas. SOCHM was also a committee full of delegates that were not afraid to jam out to intense trap remixes of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse during breaks. These are just some examples of the amazing committee that I was lucky enough to be a part of this weekend. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vivian Liang, and I am the director of the Social, Humanitarian, and Cultural Committee. Throughout the weekend, SOCHM discussed two pressing topics: child labor in developing countries and the persecution of linguistic minorities. As a committee composed primarily of first-time delegates, every single one of you went above and beyond our expectations, addressing these complex topics with maturity and depth. Although this new online platform was difficult, I'm immensely grateful to all of you for making this iteration of CAHSMUN one of my favorites. I will forever remember us having to remind you that NGO stands for non-governmental organization and not national government organization. I will remember the frightening 9 blocks we had halfway through topic A, and most importantly, I will remember that 11:07 plus 20 minutes is 11:27, not 11:37. I apologize again for my one too many math mistakes. Alex, Sarav, and Brandon, I have no idea if I would have made it through the weekend without you guys there with me. Although we were a bit, and I quote, cracked at times, we came out of this weekend successfully. Delegates of Sochum, I truly hope that you exit this conference with lasting friendships, unforgettable memories, and a MUN career that will continue far into the future. While awards are not the ultimate goal of the conference, I would like to recognize a few delegations that stood out.
Best Researched goes to Russia, represented by Hannah Zhu.
Honorable mentions go to Denmark, represented by Patrick Alexander Mikkelsen, as well as New Zealand, represented by CAHSMUN.
The outstanding delegate of the committee goes to Italy, represented by Emily Moe.
And finally, Best Delegate goes to Venezuela, represented by Fiona Shen.
I would now like to call up the dais of the World Health Organization.
The founder of IKEA was just elected president of Sweden. What is he doing now? He was assembling his cabinet. This year, it was my utmost pleasure to serve alongside my co-director Cindy Zhang, Chair Andrew Liu, and Assistant Director Leah Tsao as the DICE team for the World Health Organization at CAHSMUN 2021. I wanted to start off by thanking Cindy, Andrew, and Leah for their hard work and dedication over the course of the conference. The committee would not have been as successful without them. This weekend, we covered the pressing issues of chronic respiratory diseases and livestock health and consumption. Despite being a beginner committee, I was amazed at how adeptly the delegates tackled these complex issues. I appreciated their enthusiasm for debate, and most of all, I loved how willing they all were to help each other. This weekend truly blew my expectations out of the water. From Andrew and Cindy's horrible jokes that were met with Turkey's protests to delegates speaking at seemingly inhuman speeds, CAHSMUN 2021 was indeed a success. I will never forget the passion displayed at each committee session. I am sad that this weekend has come to an end, but I can honestly say that this was one of the best committees I've ever had the privilege to staff.
Before we continue on to awards, I would like to emphasize that the entire DICE team had a challenging time deciding them. We commend every single one of you for your enthusiastic participation and intellect. With that being said, I would actually like to leave on a personal note. CAHSMUN holds an exceptional place in my heart. It was the first conference I'd ever attended, and the conference where I'd actually won my first gavel. But looking back now, the awards never mattered. It was the memories I made. I understand that at the moment, awards may seem like the world, but trust me when I say that they're just a bonus. This weekend could have been the first step in your journey of Model UN, or the first step towards the end. Nonetheless, I hope that none of you will simply stop here. As the leaders of our future, I urge you to discover what lies beyond the horizon and reach for it. Do whatever it takes to learn today and lead tomorrow. Even if you log off from CAHSMUN 2021 empty-handed, I hope you'll leave with memories and friendships that will last lifetimes. With that being said, the awards go to the following. Best position paper goes to the delegation of Finland. Honorable mentions goes to the delegation of Austria and Portugal. Outstanding delegate goes to France B. And best delegate goes to the Republic of Korea. Thank you.
I would now like to call up the dais of the European Union.
Good afternoon, delegates, sponsor teachers, Secretariat, and fellow staff members. My name is Cynthia Gann, and I've had the honor of serving as your director for the European Union at CAHSMUN 2021. Over the past 48 hours, our committee tackled the issues of asylum policy reform and assessing the effectiveness of the Minsk Protocol, successfully passing 2 resolutions born of hours of tireless debate, compromise, and leadership this weekend, addressing political, social, economic, and ethical implications. Despite missing half of the union at times, delegates made up for double their missing half with their sheer energy, brilliance, and perseverance. I speak on behalf of the entire dais when I say that we could not be happier with the immeasurable enthusiasm and growth of this committee within the short span of a weekend. To Owen and Stephanie, my dais team, words cannot express how genuinely grateful I am for you two, for holding this committee together, for constantly being a source of stability and support, and for dealing with the trials and tribulations of running CAHSMUN over Zoom. I couldn't have asked for a better team to end my last directing experience with. So for now, just thank you will have to suffice. And to our delegates, to say we are incredibly proud of each and every single one of you would be an understatement. Speaking to you for the last time from the metaphorical podium of an activity that has become far more than just a public speaking activity, I can say that the world of Model UN has become a home to me, where I've met individuals who have become second family, and where a crowd of once intimidating, well-dressed strangers has since become a sea of familiar faces. The late nights writing backgrounders, the friendships forged with some of the most brilliant, inspiring people I've ever met, and the scars of walking down Robson in heels and Western business attire are memories I will carry fondly for the rest of my life. This is all to say that awards are far from the most important aspect of the Model UN experience. Standing now at the end of this journey, I can say that the gavels and certificates all pale in comparison to the incredible memories you make and the growth you witness in yourself and the people around you. I hope you've all gained an experience this weekend worth more than any award. But with all this being said, awards are as follows. Best Researched goes to Germany, Honorable Mention goes to Italy, Outstanding Delegate goes to France, and the award for Best Delegate goes to Poland. Thank you. Godspeed.
I would now like to call up the dais of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Dang, and I've had the distinct pleasure of serving as the director of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization for CAHSMUN 2021. As I sit here and recite the speech on a beautiful Saturday night and reminisce on the past 2 days, I'm reminded of the old phrase, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. No matter how cheesy this phrase may be, it perfectly encapsulates what NATO has been for the past 2 days. Our delegates debated fiercely and endlessly, whether it was discussing about increasing the US's NATO expenditure from 0.1% to 0.5%, or arguing over the NATO BRI, there was never a dull moment. During the discussions, I was constantly amazed by delegates' composure and eagerness to debate during our committee sessions. All delegates contributed something unique to the committee and were extremely adaptable to every circumstance that was thrown at them. I was especially impressed by the quality of debate and content of all speeches. Although things were mostly productive, I will never forget the unlimited amount of unmod extensions, endless stream of dad jokes and adjectives, and, of course, the virtually meeting underdeveloped nations VMUN block. On behalf of the DICE team, thank you delegates for making CAHSMUN 2021 an experience to remember. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my two chairs, Matthew and Laura, for which NATO would not be complete without. Liang, despite Laura and I making fun of you for being on the wrong side, your knowledge of ROP and withstanding stamina encouraged me to keep going. I sincerely hope we let you give that promotion today. Laura, while my first impression of you was a mispronunciation of Macedonia, you have yet to disappoint me as a director. You stabilized the staff team through the worst tribulations and was always keen to make jokes when we were tired. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to fill your shoes, but I'll try my best to do so. Finally, I would like to thank the Secretariat team, especially Peter and Betty, for your patience and knowledge during the backgrounder writing process. With all this being said, I will now be moving on to awards. Please remember that awards are not a measure of your success as a delegate over the past 3 days, and that regardless of the outcome of the awards, you should all be proud of your growth. Nevertheless, Best Research Delegate goes to the United States, Honorable Mention goes to Montenegro, Outstanding Delegate goes to Turkey, and Best Delegate goes to France. Thank you all for attending NATO.
I would now like to call up the dais of the U.S. Senate.
Perhaps the most memorable moment in the history of the United States Senate was the caning of Charles Sumner, an event in which a walking cane was used to beat a senator across the aisle due to political disagreements. Although I'm glad that this chamber has evolved to be a more civilized and cordial body since the American Civil War, we witnessed our own brutal caning this weekend in the form of civil discourse and invigorating debate. A big thanks to our amazing delegates, keeping us entertained and happy to moderate debate. From the Republican attempts to cane Obamacare to the Democratic Majority Leader's Jabba the Hutt-like microphone issues, senators encompassed both the seriousness and fun of this historic chamber, from its founding in 1789 all the way to its insurrection in 2021.
Our names are Joshua and Othman, and over these past 3 days, we've had the honor of serving as the co-presidents of the United States Senate. We'd like to thank our wonderful chairs, Alec Yang and Nikki Wu, for their significant help in ensuring that the committee ran smoothly and professionally by chairing debate, helping delegates in the committee, running chairman, hosting bill readings, and processing directives. The success of this committee would not have been possible without them. So for that, thank you, Alec, and thank you, Nikki. Every delegate impressed the entire DIAS team, and awards are in no way representative of one's skill, but there were a few senators that stood out. After debating on who was most deserving, we have decided to recognize the following senators. Best Researched goes to Senator Alex Padilla. Honorable mention goes to Senator Tom Cotton. Outstanding Delegate goes to Senator Amy Klobuchar. And finally, Best Delegate is awarded to Senator Mitch McConnell. Thanks to the entire Senate DIAS team, CAHSMUN 2021 Secretariat, and wonderful senators for making this conference possible and this committee such a joy to run.
I would now like to call up the dais of the Indigenous Advisory Committee.
Hello everyone, my name is Anushka Agarwal and I had the honor of serving as the director of the Indigenous Advisory Committee at CAHSMUN 2021. This year, the IAC covered 2 topics: pipeline development in Canada and Indigenous overrepresentation in the Canadian criminal justice system. Our committee had a number of exciting moments, whether it was the breakout room for dirty capitalists, or the appearance of violent genetically mutated fish, or even being encouraged to go outdoors and touch grass in between committee sessions. I'd firstly like to thank my chair, Leo, for being incredibly organized, friendly, and dedicated, and for being willing to give delegates thorough feedback, lastly for his comprehensive notes document, which helped keep us on track throughout the weekend. I'd also like to thank all of the delegates on this committee for their enthusiastic participation throughout the course of this weekend. This was the first time the Indigenous Advisory Committee had ever been run in a multi-UN context, and with only 9 delegates, we weren't totally sure how it was going to work out from beforehand. But all of you went above and beyond to bring this committee to life, and it was a pleasure to see you pass resolutions that responded to the complicated challenges of Canada's Indigenous communities with sensitivity and with thoughtfulness. With that in mind, we would like to recognize 2 delegates on this committee for their exemplary work this weekend, and of course for having the best leaves in our leaf-picking contest. So firstly, the award for Outstanding Delegate goes to a delegate who was unique in their creative policy suggestions, powerful rhetoric, and aptitude for collaborating with other delegates. Congratulations to Mumala Kakak of the NDP. And secondly, we'd like to recognize a delegate whose reflective and well-poised remarks offered shrewd insight into the nature of Indigenous inequalities in Canada. The award for Best Delegate goes to Adam Olsen of the Green Party. Lastly, congratulations to all delegates for your hard work and diplomatic zeal. I look forward to hopefully seeing all of you at future conferences.
Now I'd like to call on Jeremy to introduce the specialized agencies and crisis committees.
Thank you, Peter. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Fang, and it's been my honor to serve as your Undersecretary General of Specialized Agencies this year. Having spent months working on this substantive program, I can't express how proud I am of you, the delegates, for tackling every topic in crisis with unrivaled creativity and enthusiasm. Whether you discuss the ever-pressing topic of prison labor or the Duchy of Grand Fenwick's politics, our goal has always been to create a diverse and globally encompassing committees program. In that sense, I hope this weekend provided a valuable opportunity to consider global affairs and diplomacy in a more conscientious manner. Of course, none of this would be possible without our amazing DIAS teams. I think Betty put it perfectly when she said you are some of the most hardworking and knowledgeable people we've ever met. I cannot thank you enough for your commitment to making this weekend as successful as it was. Most importantly, I'm incredibly grateful to have been able to get to know all of you. Lastly, I need to give a massive thank you to the Secretariat team. I couldn't imagine working with a different team. I especially appreciate you sticking with me despite my constant departures from our group chat. That is true loyalty. In particular, I need to thank Peter and Betty. Firstly, Bet, my comms duo. Thank you for keeping the late night, snack-filled FaceTime calls somewhat productive. I hope you continue to enjoy your peanut butter toast adventures. Pet, despite your questionable movie choices, I couldn't have asked for a better chief to work with. Thank you for your endless support and advice. I look forward to more jetty walks in the future. Without further ado, I'd like to hand things over to our directors. Please remember that awards are by no means a measure of your success, learning, or competency. The skills and memories you will take away from this weekend are infinitely more valuable. With that in mind, I'd like to hand it over to the DIAS team of UN Women.
Dear delegates, fellow staff and Secretariat, sponsor teachers, and esteemed guests. My name is Elishba Irfan, and it has been my utmost honor to have served as the Director for the United Nations entity of Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women at this year's iteration of CAHSMUN. This weekend, delegates depicted the quintessential characteristics of any MUN committee: debate, diplomacy, and nuclear warfare. The nuances in the role of women in terrorist organizations and militias and the barriers to maternal health and care are complex. However, the committee expertly navigated through the waters of women's issues and completed their adventure flawlessly. To my delegates, I envisioned summarizing this weekend in one word: enjoyable, heartwarming, or even rewarding. But your breathtaking performance left me utterly speechless. With my own Model UN journey halting soon, I see a reflection of that same inquisitiveness and passion in you that continues to inspire me today. Your diligence and exceptionalism assured that the extra hour I stayed giving feedback at the end of each day was entirely worth it. I hope that you will continue to ameliorate your learning in global affairs, hone your public speaking abilities, and quote the introduction to the B movie in all of your speeches. Having participated in 4 committees of UN Women, this particular cohort of delegates never ceased to dazzle the DIAS team, composed of myself, Matthew, and Eric, known to the committee as Girl Boss, Thesaurus, and Esteemed Bachelor. To my chair, the marvelous and meticulous Matthew. Your dependable nature and amicable spirit was the sunshine that lit up the entire committee. Your ability to multitask is absolutely perplexing and beyond me, and perhaps one day you'll compile an adjectives list of your own. To my assistant director, the exceptional and easygoing Eric. Your adaptability to the storm of technical difficulties that rained upon UN Women speaks to the success of this committee. Thank you for your tranquility at all times and unparalleled patience. You truly are the rock of the DIAS team. On the behalf of the staff team at UN Women, choosing awards for this committee was indisputably difficult. However, we would like to highlight the delegates that particularly stood out and masterfully applied the qualities of leadership, ingenuity, and collaboration. The best research delegate is given to Italy. The honorable mention is given to Mexico. The outstanding delegate is awarded to Rwanda. And the best delegate is rewarded to India. Once again, thank you for making this weekend special. I wish you all the best. Godspeed.
I would now like to call up the dais of the United Nations Environment Program.
Good afternoon, sponsor teachers, delegates, and fellow staff. My name is Nick Liu, and I've had the distinct privilege of serving as the director of the United Nations Environmental Program for this iteration of CAHSMUN. Throughout the weekend, our delegates intensely debated about the fast fashion industry and ocean pollutants, 2 vital parts in preventing the catastrophe that is climate change. Alongside myself at the virtual staff table were 2 of the best DICE members I could ask for. My chair, the nice and nimble-minded Naomi, whose stellar performance as a chair could not even be overshadowed by a horrible Wi-Fi. My assistant director, the marvelous and magnificent Marcus, was always there to quickly fix tech errors, no matter how severe. Also, a quick shout out to our Flex staff, Kimberly. If I could describe this committee in one quote, it'd be from the Lorax, who said, "Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not." Although the delegates of the UNEP did not have orange skin or fur, they sincerely echoed this environmental message from this powerful fictional figure. I feel comforted that the next generation cares greatly about preserving our great home planet, Mother Earth. Amidst the fiery debate that ensued to protect the environment, there were moments of levity that truly made this committee one to remember. Some highlights include Haiti and Brazil's constant hatred for capitalist policies, Austria's puns that would never bark up the wrong tree, and the committee's obsession with naps. Now finally, awards. We'd like to award the best research to the delegate of Saudi Arabia, honorable mention to the delegate of South Africa, outstanding delegate to Netherlands, and best delegate, finally, to the delegate of Norway. Thank you.
Please welcome the DIAS team of the United Nations Security Council.
Good afternoon, delegates, teacher chaperones, and distinguished guests. My name is Austin Ma, and it has been my distinct pleasure to serve as the Director of the United Nations Security Council at CAHSMUN 2021. Over the past weekend, the delegates of the UNSC explored two pressing conflicts, the Rojava Revolution and the Baluchistan conflict. Despite initial grievances between the P5 powers, the delegates of the UNSC managed to successfully pass two resolutions to address both pertinent issues. From intense debate witnessed in the unmoderated caucuses to the moments of anticipation during voting procedure to see which P5 country would veto the first, there was never a dull moment in the UNSC. As the director, my favorite aspect of the committee was the engagement from the delegates. Despite the two intricate and very complex topics, I was overjoyed to see that all delegates tackled the issues with excitement and determination. Debate remained productive and fierce throughout the entire conference, from the first committee session to the last. And I hope that over the course of this weekend, you are able to develop your public speaking skills, learn something new, or perhaps discover a passion for the art of diplomacy. I hope to see all of you make your way around the MUN circuit and continue to attend more conferences in the months and years ahead. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my chair, Henry. Despite this being your first conference that you've ever staffed, you have completely exceeded my expectations. Your professionalism, matched by your comprehensive knowledge of the rules of procedure, has significantly enhanced the productivity of this committee. I'm so grateful to have you on the team, and I couldn't have asked for a better chair than yourself. Moreover, I also want to give a big heartfelt thank you to the CAHSMUN 2021 Secretariat team, the ones who've spent nearly a whole year planning this conference and seeing it from start to finish. In particular, I would like to profusely thank Peter, Betty, and Jeremy for guiding me through the background writing process. I'm so grateful for all your help and guidance, and your role was truly paramount to the success of this committee this weekend. Now onto the awards. I want to note that the award selection process was nothing short of difficult. Every delegate in the UNSC had a unique flair in which they brought to the discussion. All in all, MUN is so much more bigger than awards and by no means is a measure of your future success and potential. The awards are as follows. Best Position Paper is awarded to Estonia. Honorable Mention is awarded to China. Outstanding Delegate is awarded to Tunisia. And Best Delegate is awarded to Vietnam. Thank you.
Please welcome the DIAS team of the International Labour Organization.
Good afternoon. My name is Mikhail, and it was a pleasure to be the director of the International Labour Organization, a specialized agency that is coincidentally celebrating its 202nd anniversary today on April 11th. I suppose this day is worth celebrating for many reasons aside from the birthday. The resolution papers that have passed, the feuds that I have personally tried to ignite during debate, and the drive delegates were willing to display when promoting the rights of domestic workers and prison laborers. Another reason is the group of people who have done immense work to make this weekend worthwhile. I'd like to thank Sakura and Ahmad for being my chair and assistant director. Not only are they skilled at their jobs, they're smart, strong, and warm. Sakura was the friendly and kind moderator of our debates, while Ahmad was the savvy, smooth operator of chairman. It was a godsend to be in a DIAS team with these two great people, who I know will do the greatest things moving forward, and I thank you for that. Then, I'd like to talk about my delegates for a bit, and before I do that, I suppose I should probably explain something rather nuanced about the ILO. I had a tendency to make very weird analogies to explain to delegates on how they should probably debate. For the purposes of honoring those rather weird analogies, I'd like to present one to the rest of the conference. Now it goes like this. The ILO, my committee, was the restaurant. Sakura, Ahmad, and I were diners who wanted to savor something called Model United Nations. The delegates were the chefs, the waiters, the bartenders, and the kitchen staff who served us the best cuisine of MUN I have ever tried out. The speeches they passionately recited, the papers you passed, the teamwork and camaraderie within that Zoom room, I enjoyed it all. My delegates were forever and always head-first fearless, and I loved it. This will perhaps, unfortunately, will be the last time I'll ever be in a position like this, and it's quite bittersweet. I did start at CAHSMUN, and it's nice to end my staffing journey here as well. But I suppose that it's no surprise that CAHSMUN saved the best for last for me. To my fellow DIAS members and to my delegates, it was enchanting to meet you. No amount of gratitude will ever repay what you gave to me this weekend, my last time staffing. Thank you. Now, on to the awards. Best Research goes to United Kingdom. Honorable Mention goes to China. Outstanding Delegate goes to Australia. And Best Delegate goes to Sweden. Thank you and have a wonderful afternoon.
I would now like to call up the DIAS team of the Facebook committee.
Good afternoon, delegates, staff, sponsor teachers, and Secretariat. My name is Joyce Chen, and it is my privilege to have served as the director of the Facebook committee at CAHSMUN 2021. This weekend, every single person took part in something revolutionary, something preserved not only in words or screenshots, but also in memories. And fittingly, I want to share a memory of my own. 2 years ago, at CAHSMUN 2019, I was a nervous delegate pacing outside my committee room. I remember my best friend patting my head for good luck, my director teaching me more about foreign aid than I could ever learn from a textbook, and shaking hands with Eritrea, my proverbial partner in crime. Today, you know my best friend as your Secretary General, Emily. My director that weekend is one of your DSGs, Ellen, and the delegation of Eritrea is your USG marketing, Tina. Today, I've had 2 a.m. heart-to-hearts, existential crises, and laughing fits with the brilliant, compassionate, wonderful people that comprise the CAHSMUN 2021 Secretariat team. So when I say that Model UN is transformative, I mean it. I witnessed that same transformation this weekend, and I'm nothing but proud. I'm proud of each and every one of our delegates who challenged themselves at every moment to debate, discuss, and discover. But I'm also proud of my 2 chairs, Tianlan and Ellie, who filled in every logistical gap that I overlooked. I can't wait to see you 2 change the world one day. As my Model UN journey draws to a close, there's only one thing I want to leave behind, and it's this reminder. It isn't the gleaming gavels and crisp certificates that make the caffeine-powered days and sleepless nights worth it. It's the people and moments that you grow to cherish in between. But that said, I know that awards are what you've all been waiting for. So without further ado, Best Delegate goes to Mark Zuckerberg, Outstanding Delegate goes to Robert Kimmett, and Honorable Mention goes to Sheryl Sandberg. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Please welcome the DIAS team of the Joint Crisis Committee.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is William Tsai, and over the past 3 days, I have had the pleasure of serving as the Crisis Director of the Joint Crisis Committees at this year's iteration of CAHSMUN. This year's JCC plunged delegates into the nation-building, industrialization, and warfare of the early 1900s, where the blocs of the Empire of Japan and Russian Empire fought for the supremacy of the Far East. Over hours and hours of debate, we saw the delegates maneuver through complex challenges of statesmanship during the age of imperialism, submit countless directives, and engage in both ruthless and compelling diplomacy. I'll now hand it off to Tyler Rosenzweig, the director of the Russian bloc.
Hi everyone, my name is Tyler Rosenzweig, and I had the utmost pleasure of serving as the bloc director for the Russian bloc of this year's Joint Crisis Committees. For these past 3 days, I've had the pleasure of serving alongside Armand Jaffer and Lauren Thomas, a DIAS team that helped me stay sane despite our committee's call to barter potatoes with the Swiss. Now for awards. It's my pleasure to announce honorable mention goes to Ivan Durnov, the chairman of the Committee of Ministers. The award for outstanding delegate goes to Pyotr Vanovsky, the Minister of War, and the best delegate goes to Ivan Goromkin, the Minister of the Interior. Now I pass it on to Derek Wu from the Japanese bloc.
Thanks, Tyler. So hello, everyone. My name is Derek Wu, and for this past weekend, I have had the honor of serving as bloc director of the Japanese bloc for the Joint Crisis Committees at CAHSMUN 2021. These past 3 days, myself, Mia Tsao, and Victoria Monroe have seen this group of amazing delegates shine, including with Masayoshi's obsession with newspapers, Japanese soldiers perpetually disguising themselves as Russians, and the questionable level of detail and thought put into assassination directives. Delegates, your energy and enthusiasm kept Japan alive, and you should be proud of everything you've accomplished this weekend. Now to move on to awards. Honorable mention goes to Matsukata Masayoshi, the Minister of Finance. Outstanding delegate goes to Ito Hirobumi, the Prime Minister of Japan. And best delegate goes to Yamagata Aritomo, President of the Japanese Privy Council. To all delegates in JCC, on behalf of the entire team, thank you for a wonderful 3 days.
I would now like to invite the DIAS team of the Fictional Crisis Committee.
You know the last 45 minutes of a MUN committee? When you've passed your resolutions and are now just having fun, colonizing the moon, stealing nuclear weapons, assassinating delegates? Well, imagine spending an entire conference doing just that. Because when our crisis began, the moon had been colonized 50 years ago, a nuclear weapon capable of wiping out the entire European continent was in play, and oh boy, over 250 directives later at the end of the conference, things would only get zanier. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ethan, and I am the director of the Fictional Crisis Committee. In FCC this year, delegates represented citizens of the Duchy of Grand Fenwick, a tiny microstate located between Switzerland and France. Acting as wily European statesmen, our delegates repeatedly betrayed, swindled, and cheated their way to solving the oppressive COVID-19 antidote crisis, lunar tensions, and Swiss aggression. Some highlights include incriminating private chat messages being leaked to the committee, an obsession with ricin poisoning, 2-second moments of silence, some beautiful comments given to Duchess Gloriana, and some invigorating arguments about the dilution of Pinot Grand Fenwick. I want to thank Ellie Huang, who helped out our DIAS team yesterday, as well as our amazing AD, Catherine Liu, and Chair Justin Jia, who literally received a concussion by a baguette for this committee. That's commitment. I also want to thank Jeremy Fang and Peter Zhang for allowing me to run this wacky idea for a committee. Trust me, it was better than Avatar: The Last Airbender would have been. But most importantly, I want to thank our delegates. I was worried that the committee would fly off the rails too quickly or would become too mundane. But my delegates were so incredibly engaged and displayed such a high level of maturity that this madcap sojourn in the Swiss Alps wound up being so much fun. Without further ado, awards. Awards were incredibly difficult to choose because every single delegate was super engaged in all facets of the committee. That said, for an excellent position paper that addressed the major crises with poise and authority in the tone of the books and movies, the Best Position Paper award goes to David Benter, leader of Her Grace's Loyal Opposition. For her ability to work with a variety of different allies to drive the crisis further, as well as her great knowledge of science, the honorable mention goes to Dr. Alfred Kokens. For his measured and thoughtful speeches, as well as his directives that always put the citizens of Grand Fenwick first, whether by providing air conditioner or a nice day out in the forest reserve, outstanding delegate goes to Tully Bascombe. And finally, for his incredibly detailed directives that allowed him to subvert the entire committee on multiple occasions while always serving the interests of his position, best delegate goes to the Swiss ambassador, Niels Verraten. Thanks so much.
Please welcome the DIAS team of the Korean Cabinet.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ben Kang, and it has been my distinct honor to serve as the director of the Korean Cabinet at CAHSMUN 2021. This year, the Cabinet Committee centered its attention on the Korean Peninsula in the post-World War II era, with delegates representing South Korea's first official cabinet, that of President Syngman Rhee. Entering into a uniquely treacherous period in Korean history, delegates were confronted by a whole host of unique challenges to solve, all the way from preventing economic recession, to cracking down on communist insurgents, to confronting the mounting threat posed by North Korea. To you, the delegates of the Korean Cabinet, ever since that first uncertain moment that debate kicked off in new and unfamiliar Model UN territory, my fellow DIAS team and I have constantly been impressed by your dedication, passion, and commitment to the Cabinet and to the success of Korea through the most stubborn of practical and technical difficulties, of which there are many. Your ingenuity, creativity, and resourcefulness in debating the crisis shone through and was truly invigorating for myself and the team to watch. The committee was not without its fun and hectic moments as well, whether it was the truly unexpected death of our Army Chief of Staff, whom the Cabinet held a very emotional moment of silence for, or the time when North Korea scammed the committee and invaded the nation with over 10 minutes left in a peace deal. No matter what we threw at you, no matter what you were confronted by, ministers, your unwavering ability to devise the most detailed directives, most creative solutions, and most considerate strategies made our jobs as crisis staff so much easier, and more importantly, so much more enjoyable. And on that note, I'd like to acknowledge and thank my Cabinet Dias team, for they were the true driving force behind this committee's success. To my wonderful chair, Darren Yang, and spectacular assistant director, Olivia Gibson, thank you for all that both of you have done for the committee. Without your tireless dedication and passion, the Cabinet would have truly been nothing at all. Lastly, for what everyone has been waiting for, the awards. The Dias team would like to remind everyone that awards are by no means a measure of your individual success. However, we'd just like to recognize a few delegates for their contributions to the committee. And so with that in mind, Best Position Paper goes to Shin Sung-mo, Minister of Defense. Honorable mention goes to Lee Byung-seok, Prime Minister. Outstanding Delegate goes to An Ho-sang, Minister of Education. And Best Delegate goes to Yi Yan-yong, Chief of Staff of the Army. Congratulations to you all, and we hope you had a great time in the Korean Cabinet.
I would now like to call up the Dias team of the Historical Crisis Committee.
Dear delegates, sponsor teachers, and esteemed guests, my name is Vivian Gu, and I have had the distinct pleasure of serving as the director of the Historical Crisis Committee. This weekend, delegates represented the Council of the Duke of Normandy during the Norman conquest of England in 1066. In spite of countless betrayals, merciless assassinations, and assaults by Norway, France, and England, the Council of Normandy remained tenacious. From 0 troops, the Council built a powerful army of over 10,000 soldiers. Even when their leader, William the Bastard, fell into a coma, the committee remained, with the exception of Robert I, steadfastly loyal and charged onwards toward the throne of England. Over the course of 3 days, the Council of 17 members submitted over 500 directives, a number that goes to evince their dedication and enthusiasm. Throughout my years of staffing, I have never met a group of delegates more passionate, quick-witted, driven, or more stubborn to thwart the meticulous crisis tree I had spent hours curating. Whether it be William the Bastard's annexation of Sicily from under one of his own men, the creation of the United States of Normandy under our beloved Uncle Roger, or the kidnapping of the Queen of Wales that lended itself to the beheading of Baldwin VI, these inventive operatives kept me on my toes. I can speak with certainty that the Dias held their breath in anticipation of what was next at every moment. As a Dias team mostly composed of graduating seniors, we're eternally grateful for the memories you have provided us in what is our final iteration of CAHSMUN. Of course, this weekend would not have been possible without the assistance of my wonderful staff team. To my chair, Josh, even in the face of all my frantic energy, you remained a cool, calm, collected anchor that kept the committee going. I cannot begin to express my admiration or gratitude for your multitasking abilities as you switch between crisis updates, Ceremonies, Slack, and Zoom smoothly without hitch. Your compliments on my flimsy guest speaker disguises and occasional hee-hee never failed to put a smile on my face. To my AD Daniel, or Cake, thank you for being the compassionate assistant director that you are. Your constant check-ins on the delegates went a long way to make every single member feel cared for, and your ready to provide feedback attitude inspired us all to always go the extra mile. Most of all, thank you for your constant criticism and lovable sweaters, and for going along with my constant requests to match outfits. Last but not least, thank you to Adam, our assistant chair, who despite joining our Dias team last minute, certainly did not fail to make this committee whole. Thank you for your careful note-taking on every single speech that was given, and your enthusiastic smile that kept us going crisis after crisis. I could not have asked for a better DIAS team. Without further ado, on to awards. In earnest, I truly wish that I could recognize you all. Nevertheless, best research goes to Baldwin VI, honorable mention to Walter Gifford, outstanding delegate to Eustace II, and finally, best delegate to Roger the Great. Thank you.
Lastly, please welcome the DIAS team of the International Press Corps.
Hi everyone, my name is Jonah Ezekiel, and I had the privilege of directing the IPC this past weekend. Out of all of the committee options at CAHSMUN, the IPC looks the least like the typical Model UN experience. Rather than debate and resolution, IPC delegates are thrust into the role of journalist and tasked with reporting on the rest of the conference's committees. It's a role that, while new to all of this year's delegates, one they took on with great skill and seemingly expertise. At many points throughout the conference, Caitlin and I found ourselves reveling in some truly eloquent and articulate writing, or even at a loss for words when asked for feedback. Whether it was Fox News debunking the climate change myth and putting UNEP in its rightful place as a committee assigning arbitrary hoops for themselves to jump through, or The Onion, applauding Facebook's method of surveillance because in society there is a consensus that Facebook is very trustworthy, our delegates approached their work with enthusiasm and devotion. I truly could not have asked for a better group of delegates. It certainly made selecting awards a very difficult process. I honestly believe that you are all deserving of one. And before I announce the winners, I want to remind you, as I did in our first committee session, that the IPC experience yields so much more than a certificate or a gavel. It's a weekend you will look back on as both memorable and transformative for you as a writer. Without further ado, Outstanding Delegate is awarded to Xinhua News Agency, and Best Delegate is awarded to CNN. I'd also like to give the honorary award of Best Chair to Caitlin. Thank you for all your help this weekend and leading up to the conference. I hope all conference attendees got to benefit from the fruits of this committee's labor this weekend. But if you haven't had the chance to read our articles or watch our interviews, you still can by visiting the IPC website, ipc.casmun.org.
Every year, delegates from around the world gather to compete at CAHSMUN. For this iteration, we'd like to honor some of the most distinguished delegations. It takes immense skill to stand out as an individual, but an immensely dedicated community is needed for a group to stand out as a whole. For their successes at CAHSMUN 2021, the Outstanding Small Delegation goes to Westmount Charter School. The Best Small Delegation goes to Sir Winston Churchill Secondary from Calgary. The Outstanding Large Delegation goes to St. George's School. And the Best Large Delegation goes to Little Flower Academy.
Good afternoon, delegates, staff, teachers, and Secretariat. My name is Linda, and I am a member of the CAHSMUN Board of Directors. It's been a very difficult year for you all, as it has been for our organization. This is the third conference we have not had in person, and our organization has had to navigate the challenges both with meeting financial commitments without expected revenue and changing our events model from in-person to online. In light of these challenges, the Secretariat has put on a fantastic conference, providing educational content in a still new area of work. The in-person component of Model UN is a catalyst for lasting memories, and we hope to return to the norm as soon as we all receive vaccinations and it becomes safe for all of us to gather in the same space once again. To the delegates, thank you for continuing to support our conference and for acting on your interest in Model UN. To the first-time delegates in particular, I hope you enjoyed this weekend, and I know that the next CAHSMUN conference you come to will be even more fun, especially if it's in person. To the teachers, as always, you have our organization's sincere thanks. Teachers are so important to extracurricular activities, especially when we can't take in-class instruction for granted and you can't share the spark of debating and writing resolution papers in person. Beyond that, you have been indomitable in all aspects of teaching beyond Model UN over the past year, and for that, you deserve all the appreciation in the world. As we worked through this difficult year, our organization also turned its mind to ways we could build back better coming out of this pandemic. Before the pandemic, we launched a fall conference to offer more students even more opportunities to participate in Model UN, by building on a track record of success with the spring conference. As the fall conference matures and enters its third year, we shifted our aspirations to activities outside of our traditional area of civics-based education. After months of work by a committee of our board of directors, we are really pleased to announce that our organization will be amalgamating with Mini Enterprise, which is Western Canada's premier business case competition. Beginning this year, our suite of conferences and events will operate under a single nonprofit umbrella while retaining the specific identities that our community has come to appreciate and connect with. We're also continuing with our organizational mission to make events financially accessible by continuing our financial aid program. We're excited to also welcome the existing Mini Enterprise staff into our organization to ensure continuity and seamless transition for students, teachers, and corporate partners. We have every intention of devoting the same amount of care and attention to our Model UN conferences, but our goal has always been to serve students and provide high-quality, accessible educational events. Our track record of doing so to thousands of students a year, combined with Mini E's experience in the growing field of interest for students, is a strong partnership. And for that, we're excited to emerge from this dark period better than before, serving more students than before, and we'd love to have you all there along with us. On behalf of the Board of Directors, thank you again for attending this year's conference.
I'd now like to invite our Secretary General, Emily Nee, to deliver closing remarks.
Good afternoon, sponsor teachers, delegates, and honored guests. A mere 48 hours ago, all of you embarked on a journey of debate, discussion, and discovery. From heated conversation on public health policy in the World Health Organization to a close critique of Canada's criminal justice system and the Indigenous Advisory Council, or even innovative solutions to fake news in our joint Facebook committee, I saw passion and brilliance in every speech. And most of all, I saw the leaders of tomorrow. So to all delegates, I want to say thank you. Thank you for raising your voices and pushing past your fears to reach your fullest potential. I am more confident now than ever in our future, knowing that students like you are taking the reins. Whether this was your first stop or last destination in your Model UN endeavors, I'm incredibly excited to see what you'll accomplish long after you've left your respective committee rooms. Nevertheless, this conference would not have been possible without a great number of different people, and I'd like to thank each of you for your help. To our sponsors, thank you for your generous support. With your help, we were able to keep MUN accessible for all students, regardless of their background. To our chaperones and teacher sponsors, thank you for all that you do for your students. Finding new and creative ways to keep preparing your students virtually, taking time out of your busy lives to watch them progress over a weekend. Your support is the backbone of what makes this conference possible. Students, take a moment to thank your teachers. They deserve it. To our Board of Directors, thank you for your endless support. Your guidance and knowledge helped us navigate any obstacle, and even years after your own high school MUN experiences, your dedication helps keep this beloved activity alive. At the end of this long list of thank yous, I'd like to thank each of my Secretariat members individually for an experience that I'll cherish for a lifetime. A Secretary General's most important task is to assemble a Secretariat team, and I can say with complete confidence that I could not have asked for a better group of people to end off this journey with. Owen, you are truly one of a kind. The wealth of resources, time, and knowledge you dedicated to expanding foundations made this year's iteration of the program the best one yet. The only thing better than your dance moves is your contagious enthusiasm. Thanks for always pushing us to be a better team. Jaewoo, you're a genius. No matter how many late night or last minute tasks were thrown at you, you surpassed all expectations and delivered every single time. From a brand new registration system to the IPC website to the countless edits I sent your way, you've truly pushed the boundaries of technology and Model UN to new limits. Kobe, as the youngest member on this team, your youthful energy, thanks to abundant sleep, certainly didn't fail to keep us all on our toes. Your sense of humor, although questionable at times, speaks volumes to your kind and outgoing character. Thank you for working tirelessly, even on the most mundane of tasks. I'm so proud of how far you've come, and I can't wait to see what you'll accomplish next year. Tina, your sharp wit, fierce loyalty, and impeccable eye for design makes you a fearsome fire machine. Your incredible talent is matched only by your passion. Thank you for pouring so much time and dedication into every single one of your designs. From our first conference together nearly 3 years ago, I'm glad that I was able to end off these years together, side by side. Jeremy, even though your taste in music is questionable, your dedication certainly isn't. Thank you for bringing wild crises to life, for taking on countless late-night background editing sessions, and providing so much laughter to the team. I hope that you'll remember Kaz with relish whenever you see your dorm room decorations. Betty, you are an absolute goddess. When we started off planning last year, I was truthfully unsure of what to expect from someone with such a heavy workload. But a year later, you never fail to impress me every single day. Not only is your work always flawless, your selfless, kind heart always puts a smile on all of our faces, no matter what. And I can't thank you enough for that. Kevin, I really hope that you get some sleep after this, because you desperately need it. Over these past 11 months, you've been a testament to the fact that sometimes sheer drive and willpower can get you through anything, even crippling sleep deprivation. We've shared a lot of things on this journey together through MUN. A committee together at CAHSMUN 2017, leadership roles before we're ready for them. But if there's one thing I'm most grateful to have shared with you, it's this one last ride that I'm incredibly glad that you stuck around for. Peter, you are simply amazing. Whenever things got tough, your level-headedness and stability reassured me that we would be able to get the metaphorical cat out of the tree. Your intelligence, yes, even in Latin, is rivaled only by your compassion. You're one of the most generous and caring people I know. Although I certainly might critique your choices in writing tools, I couldn't have asked for a better chief this year. Lincoln, where do I begin? From day one, you always pushed this conference to its limits, even if that meant pushing me to my limits too. I will forever be in awe of your militant organization and management skills and your versatility in any role, management, finance, logistics, in any area of the conference at any time of the day. Your work ethic truly kept us all going. You've been an exceptional right-hand man for these 11 months. But above all of that, you've been an exceptional friend. It's been a privilege to work with you. Ellen, we've come a long, long way together. There are so many things I want to thank you for, and it's a shame that I don't have more time to explain how grateful I am to you. Throughout our 2 years on CAHSMUN together, you've always pushed me to be better. You've shown me possibilities and ideas I would have never had the courage to pursue. You've shown me what an undying pursuit of justice looks like. And most of all, you've shown me what a true leader is, someone who constantly inspires their team. Thank you for everything. I hope you're just as proud of the legacy that you've left behind as I am. When I first started the application process for CAHSMUN 2020, one of my mentors quipped that serving on Secretariat is an experience you'll cherish for a lifetime. After the end of this 2-year journey, I can confidently say that they were right. I've learned so much from this experience, but most of all, I found a group of my best friends that I'm proud to call family. So to you, delegates and staff, I implore you to take a risk and apply for the 2022 CAHSMUN Secretariat on our website at CAHSMUN.org/apply. This past year has been unforgettable. As we all go our separate ways, as you abandon your ambassadorial roles and seek your next adventure in Model UN, I'd like to thank you all for making CAHSMUN 2021 a success. With that being said, CAHSMUN 2021 is now suspended until its 18th iteration. Godspeed.